Hey guys, Kyle from Universal Critics here. Now, if you know me, then you know I'm a huge Game of Thrones fan. The show is just incredible, and this year I'd like to do a review for all the episodes that are coming up in this upcoming season. So much happens in each episode, and there's so much to digest that I thought it would be a good idea to have reminders of where each of the characters are in their storyline. So for this video, I want to go back to Season 5 and basically just remind ourselves where each of the characters are in their own specific storylines. After all, winter is coming, so let's get going. Let's start at the wall with everyone's favorite bastard, Jon Snow. He was just elected Lord Commander of the Night's Watch thanks to Old Man Targaryen, and he started making some pretty unpopular decisions right away, including letting his sworn enemy, the Wildlings, in through the gates so they can kind of settle up in the south, and so that they wouldn't all die and basically join the army of the dead. Now, anyone with a sense of logic knows that that was definitely the right call, and thankfully for Jon Snow, there are lots of people at the Night's Watch who are smart, level-headed, and good, loyal leaders. In the last episode of Season 5, the Night's Watch mutinied against him by telling him that Benjen Stark, from his uncle from the first few seasons, was basically still alive, and that one of the Wildlings knew where he was. And because Jon Snow knows nothing, see what I did there? He rushed outside to be greeted with several brutal stabbings, mainly led by this a-hole, and now Jon Snow is dead. And the only one who was smart enough to see this coming was Sam, who basically said, look, I'm going to watch Gilly die, I'm going to watch all my friends die, and I'm not going to be able to do anything, so why don't we just skip that part and send me to Oldstown so I can become a maester? So Gilly and Sam and Little Sam basically rode off to Oldstown. Now if we move down south a little bit, but still in the north, we go to Winterfell. Stannis finally made his move on Winterfell, and we were all on Team Stannis because we hate the Boltons and we just want to see the Boltons die. Roose Bolton is a jerk. Ramsay Bolton is a psycho. We wanted Stannis to basically take out all of the Boltons. Right up until he burned his daughter alive because there was too much snow and they couldn't get through without a sacrifice. Really, dude? There's too much snow in your way, so your first thought is, why don't I burn my daughter alive? But it worked, so who am I to judge, I guess? Anyway, after people saw him do that to his daughter, half the army was like, yeah, we're not going to stay here and do that anymore, so we're going to go. So he lost half his army. Melisandre realized that Stannis actually isn't the one, and Davos was already sent back to the wall to go get more resources. So basically Stannis is left alone with half an army to go take on the Boltons. So the battle ensues, and the Boltons just kind of run over all of Stannis' army. And Brienne of Tarth, who was waiting there to help Sansa, basically took this opportunity to go ahead and kill Stannis to get her revenge for the shadow baby that was used by Stannis to kill Renly Baratheon, his brother. Meanwhile, since the Bolton army is now preoccupied with Stannis' army, Sansa and Theon, or Reek, or Theon, I don't even know anymore, they actually take this time to jump from the castle walls and escape from the Boltons. The only thing is, though, is that we know how much Ramsay likes a hunt. That stupid bastard. Although I guess he's not a bastard anymore. Moving on to King's Landing. So Cersei and Marjorie are fighting for power, basically trying to use Tommen as their puppets, but Marjorie is clearly winning this battle. So Cersei's answer to that is to basically reestablish the Faith Militant by giving the Sparrows an army. So the Sparrows, now with all this power, they throw Marjorie's brother in jail, Sir Loras, because he lays with other men, and they throw Marjorie in jail because she lied about it. So now you have the Tyrells in jail. Cersei is now free to manipulate Tommen as she pleases, and she's retained her power. The only problem is that when you give religious fanatics power, and they base all their principles on higher moral authority, make sure you're not someone who's guilty of incest, treason, and murder, because that could come back to bite you. So now Cersei is locked away in prison for a few episodes. She finally admits her crimes, or at least some of them, and Game of Thrones, I don't know how you do this, but you actually made me feel sorry for Cersei. She had that long walk of shame back to the Red Keep, naked, people throwing things at her, flashing her. Her feet were all getting cut up, and she's sitting there crying, and you actually made me feel bad for Cersei. I hate you, Game of Thrones. Don't do that. I'm supposed to hate her. I don't want to feel bad for her. So now we're just sitting here waiting for Cersei to take her revenge. And speaking of revenge, guess who came back? Someone we thought Prince Oberyn killed. The Mountain has been revived as the Franken Mountain, Sir Robert Strong. And now since Cersei is going to have a trial pretty soon, you might as well declare for a trial by combat right now because no one's going to beat that guy in a fight. Then we go all the way down south to Dorne, where Prince Oberyn's widowed wife is now sending threatening message to Cersei saying that we're going to take apart Myrcella and that she's in danger. So Cersei sends Jaime over to go get Myrcella back. Jaime takes Bronn. Shenanigans ensues. But basically by the end of it, Jaime and Bronn and Myrcella and Prince Trystane are all on a boat going back to King's Landing, but not before Ellaria Sand gives Myrcella the kiss of death with the poison. So now they're on this boat. So now Myrcella and Jaime are having this really bonding moment. Myrcella is saying, I know you were my dad the whole time, and I'm really proud that you're my dad, and I love you. I couldn't ask for a better dad. And Jaime's sitting there swelling up with like all this pride and everything. And then Myrcella's nose starts bleeding, and then Myrcella dies in his arms. Because that's Game of Thrones. Because that's what we signed up for. So now Jaime is on his way back to King's Landing to tell Cersei that, look, our daughter's dead, and the sand snakes are the reason why she's dead. But you know, they have the Franken Mountain now, so I'm guessing Dorne is in a lot of trouble. Cersei has a lot on her plate. I'm actually really curious to see how this is all going to turn out. Now, sliding up and over to Braavos, we go to Arya's storyline. So Arya's in Braavos being trained by the faceless man, Jaqen H'ghar, probably the coolest character in the show. But on her first assignment as an assassin, she basically sees Meryn Trant. And if you don't remember Meryn Trant is the guy who killed Arya's dancing master, Syrio Forel, the first sword of Braavos, back in season 1. So Meryn Trant ended up on Arya's list of people she wanted to kill. Arya heads to a brothel, basically disguised using that faceless man technology or magic or whatever it is. I'm not really sure yet. And she sees Meryn Trant and confronts Meryn Trant and shows him her tracheotomy skills. Remember Arya from season 1? Like how cute and adorable she was? Yeah, she's changed a lot. Well, nothing gets by Jaqen H'ghar. He plays the game of faces. Clearly you're not going to be able to lie to this guy. He could even tell when you're lying to yourself. So Arya's back in the House of Black and White and she puts the face away, and Jaqen H'ghar says basically, Meryn Trant wasn't yours to kill and now a life has to be paid. So Jaqen H'ghar drinks poison, but he's no one, so how can no one really die, as we see a little bit later. And as punishment for Arya, she goes blind. And that's kind of where we leave Arya. She's blind and kind of helpless, and I'm guessing this is part of her training, that this blindness is probably, hopefully, only temporary. Then we head way east to Meereen. Daenerys Stormborn is finding that it's trickier to rule this place than she initially thought, because now the Sons of the Harpy are rising and rebelling against her. Meanwhile, Jorah contracted grayscale, bringing a kidnapped Tyrion to Daenerys to basically say, hey, please forgive me. But when they actually get there, Tyrion is now made an advisor and Jorah is banished from the city again. What are you to do? Captain Friendzone looks at his wrist, says, I'm on the clock anyway. I might as well go back to the fighting pits and try again. So then during the grand fighting pit ceremony, the Sons of the Harpy attack Daenerys. Jorah saves her. And now all is forgiven. Unless Jorah gave Daenerys grayscale, which is, I feel like that's something you should tell her, because that's really messed up if you actually gave her grayscale. But then the Sons of the Harpy keep attacking, and it looks like all is lost. But then Drogon, who is sensing his mother is in trouble, flies down, chars some harpies, and Daenerys climbs on his back and they fly away to safety. Kind of. She gets dropped off in the middle of a Dothraki horde, who is basically the rival sect to her ex-husband, Khal Drogo. So she might be in a bit of trouble. Meanwhile, back in Meereen, Jorah and Daario say, let's go find her and go save her. And that leaves Tyrion, Missandei, and Grey Worm in charge of the city, which I actually think is really cool because we've seen Tyrion in this situation before, and he's really good at managing a city. That's going to be a lot of fun. Oh, and Varys shows up at the end too, and we all love to see Tyrion and Varys together. That's pretty much the wrap-up for Season 5, but there's some stuff I want to see them tackle in Season 6, some unanswered questions. Number 1, can someone please kill Walder Frey? He's the one who is responsible for the Red Wedding, and he's just sitting there at the Twins completely unopposed. If Arya isn't doing anything, I want her to march over there from Braavos and give her the Meryn Trant treatment. 2, Gendry. Remember that guy? Davos set him free, he had all the leeches on him for the King's blood. He's Robert Baratheon's bastard and last living bloodline. He's been sitting rowing a boat for 3 seasons. I kind of like an update to see where he is. Number 3, Jon Snow's parentage. R plus L equals J, anyone? Maybe some Tower of Joy flashbacks? Hopefully Melisandre will resurrect Jon Snow, and then Jon Snow will be freed of his Night's Watch vows because he died like he was supposed to. And then he'll be able to get into the politics of Westeros again. I want to see him take that wildling army and take back Winterfell. Number 4, Bran Stark. So for all of season 5, he's been doing some Jedi training with the Three-Eyed Raven, and I want to see what he's become. I want to see how powerful he is. I want to see the things that he can do. Maybe he can warg into a dragon. That would be pretty cool, right? Number 5, Sansa Stark. So we've seen her pretty much be a victim through the entirety of the series. I think it would be great if she finally became that Littlefinger 2.0 that we all thought she was going to become at the end of season 4. I want to see her manipulate. I want to see her rally her father's loyal bannermen and go kill Ramsay, please. 6, the Clegane Bowl. So this is just a theory I heard, which I kind of like, and that's essentially Cersei is going to have a trial. And my guess is that she's going to demand a trial by combat because she has the mountain, or the Franken Mountain, or the Zombie Mountain. But that also means that the Sparrows have to name a champion. And if they do, what if the Hound was still alive and the Sparrows named him their champion? You would have Sandor Clegane versus Gregor Clegane in like the coolest brotherhood rivalry matchup ever. Make it happen, Game of Thrones. Anyway, that's all for this video. Thanks for listening. I want to do reviews of each episode as they come every week. So if you like this video and you want to see more Game of Thrones content, hit that subscribe button. Leave a comment. Tell me which storyline you're looking forward to the most for season 6. Anyways, thanks again, guys. I'll see you next time.